So Donny Deutsch uh, used to work for President Clinton, and then you could watch him on Hoda and Kathy Lee. There was like a three-man advice virtual column. Yeah, Donny Deutsch. Anyway, Donny Deutsch is very upset. He's like, this happened in New York. It happened, Donny. Do you need Marie? It ain't I'm a little bit country and you're a little bit rock and roll. You did it. Education 2000, boy. Maybe in hindsight, you should have just, thrown out. I give you two choices. The White House Conference to Fulfill These Rights, 1966. Well, I'm turning 60 and I was born in 66. So that was like 60 years ago. That's a long time, isn't it? You could have done it, I don't know, let's say the Reverend Jesse Jackson with his sidekick Marion Barry, the Rainbow Coalition. You forgot about A. Philip Randolph. There, A. Philip Randolph. Mr. McKeldin, he was mayor of Baltimore and governor of Maryland. And Burke Marshall, assistant attorney general during the Kennedy administration. Your assistant, look, you're not helping anybody do anything. A keyword search for Robert F. Kennedy is going to bring you what Burke Marshall brought to him. You need Burke Marshall. Burke Marshall. They have like misguided you. But if they not even after, now Marion Barry is mayor of Washington, D.C. So, okay, he had a lapse, he and the Reverend. They worked hard and now they want to reap the glory with a bunch of out-of-state students. Don't you think after St. Elmo's fire, don't you think after Heartburn, where you now have heartified that, what's his name? What is their name? The Watergate kids. So basically, it was Truman's 1950 conference on children that brought Erik Erikson, stages of development, like generativity versus stagnation. I started at trust versus mistrust. I am a very trusting person. A. Philip Randolph has a lifeline as big as Sarnoff of NBC. Sarnoff and A. Philip Randolph are there with FDR for Executive Order 8802. Mr. Hillman, Sidney, will be put in charge. And Mr. Weaver will be put in charge of minority training once people hire the minorities for the federal defense contracts. That not one person, do you understand? He's your guy, A. Philip Randolph. He was going to do a march if FDR did not do something. Now, I'm still working on this, but the timeline between when A. Philip Randolph will meet with FDR already has something in the works. There's memos with Knudsen and whoever. There is not one amongst you, not even after they created white privilege. Now, FDR. FDR will give you Frankfurter and Black. That they will stay, the voice of FDR will stay on the Supreme Court into the 60s. Did you even incorporation theory? Nothing. And I don't, please. It's all yours now. Donnie wants to know how it happened. Not even this, I don't want no part of her. Because I know how I was and in New York. So I don't know why she's, and she was allowed to develop along the way. Now, Franklin will give Mr. Murphy of Michigan. He was like governor, he was many things, and from Detroit. He will make him attorney general for 1 year. He is attorney general. He will create the Office for Civil Liberties within the criminal division. It is the precursor to the Civil Rights Office. Burke Marshall. You could have, it is now through digitization. You could have just, wow, look at all of this. So convenient on one page. No, I don't have to pull out that long thing. It's still there in the Library of Congress unless they removed it. It was there when I went for Social Work as a Profession Not by Abraham Flexner. Frank Murphy on the computer has a number of wonderful little speeches he gave as Attorney General. And then Franklin says, I want you to become a Supreme Court Justice. So it's Frank Murphy, Justice Black, and Frankenthaler. No, that's the Frankfurter? Frankfurter, the hot dog. Oh, please. My computer has been destroyed. Oh, please. I used to have blue binders. They were better. I like them. And plus, I can't get these anymore. They stopped delivering. They block my address. No more for you. I swear, nobody wants money. Look, it says Burke Marshall. There you go. Burke Marshall. Oh, it's all digitized. The John F. Kennedy Presidential Archives. Your taxes pay for it. You better go there because they're not going to tell you anything. Did Ritalin Boy, did he say, wow, my grandfather's archives is a wealth of information? No, he's just bouncing up like a Mexican bean. Who bought those at Woolworths? They were in a little green container. Assistant Attorney General Lawyers Commission for Civil Rights, BMPP-028-007, pages 1 through 81. You know, this place was great at one time. You could do a word search within the document, and then all the pages would have that word. They got rid of that feature. Hein Online, they used to give the first page, and you know what they did to me? They got rid of it. So now all of those things that say Hein Online, you don't see what it was. Let's join. That sucks. It does. Oh, look, it hasn't blipped off yet. I'm still yakking. Burke Marshall Papers, Civil Rights Act of 64, Lawyers Committee on Civil Rights, August 63, pages 1 through 129, BMPP 028-009. Oh, please. If you think at this time it's a matter of merging with what? As far as I'm concerned, your NBC, Peacock, Universal, I don't know what they are. What have they done? I'm sorry, but they've put all the minorities in NMS now. Do you think maybe they could bridge their philosophy between the news teams? God bless Tim Russert. I don't know what happened to him. And I don't even know who's in charge of that. But at one point in time, they were in charge of the news division, those Sunday speaking people. So, like, this Michael Steele, that is, I don't like to use those words because I wasn't taught them. Segregated. He's in a little segregated pod. You could say there is no interdisciplinary. They don't like that word either. It's better. Interdisciplinary. Yeah, he's just there yakking away. He won't say it either. A. Philip Randolph. The porters. The train. Now, when he was lieutenant governor under Governor Elliott, because Maryland declared themselves as social democrats, before Mr. Clinton kicked off Education 2000. So this Donny Deutsch, are you clueless how this happened? Your President Clinton kicked off Education 2000 with Governor Glendening. Even if Governor Glendening was Prince George's County executive when they had declared themselves as social democrats, I'm just saying. Kennedy Johnson messages, May 23rd, Consumer Interest Civil Rights EEO. JFK Equal Employment Opportunity. LBJ Great Society Speech. LBJ Consumer Interest. Esther Peterson. A woman. Oh, now there's a glass ceiling. I know, poor Bush 1. He gave a report on that. There is no glass ceiling. The term was just created. It's the Glass-Steagall Act of the Housing Act of 37 with a balloon payment. 60 years, which would have been around the time of the Russian grain embargo, President Carter. If it's a balloon farm payment. If they're not selling grain, how'd they make? That's the story. If they weren't allowed to sell the grain, they must have had to have budgeted. Otherwise, that's a big payment due on your farm. Just say. Esther Peterson, that's a lady. Special Assistant for Consumer Affairs. JFK Consumer Interest 1962. JFK Special Message to Congress on the Conflict of Interest 1961. Well, wasn't James Rouse your housing person something and on the board of the Greater Baltimore Committee for Housing? That's like a conflict of interest in my opinion. JFK Special Message to Congress 62, protecting consumer interest. This is all before they had a special investigation, the Federal Trade Commission, into consumer problems in Washington, D.C., a little bit before that MLK problem of a riot. These issues were being addressed. What happened? The D.C. Consumer Protection Investigation. Copyright. Civil Rights Act of 64, Voting Rights Act to Council 1964, Criminal Justice Act Guidelines, LBJ State of the Union 67. You see, you open this little thing up, and look, there's things inside. Let's see, did I say everything I wanted? Yeah, your Michael Steele loves being segregated in his little pod. They have not said A. Philip Randolph was chosen to lead by LBJ in 1966 to fulfill these rights. I touched upon Truman in 50, bringing Erickson to the East Coast. Oh, no, I'm not even going to talk about your black psychologists because they had a seat at the table. They were allowed to create a minority division. They weren't allowed to vote. So that's what I didn't do the summary of the history of the psychology of blacks' involvement. Now, if that doesn't interest you, because why should it? Look, you're making up your own history at this point. You are. There's not one thing that you want, including A. Philip Randolph. Not even A. Philip Randolph wants A. Philip Randolph. And not even Plaria Marshall wants his involvement in the Federal Trade Commission media concentration. You threw away Mr. Sellers, who warned of it in '63, and it's in the congressional record, the entire speech. Your Sarnoff plans for progress. You were either with JFK for whatever executive order. That one I can't remember. It's kind of like 90210, but it's not. Basically, plans for progress, the same theme of minorities and federal defense contract. You send me to College Park, I'm now the salesperson, my salesperson that's leaving, and this is the binder. This is the federal contracts. Well, it's the same binder Bernice Sandler of the psychology department of the University of Maryland College Park. It's kind of like that binder. Now, if you can do nothing else, you find this book, you read it. You'll learn all about DC, Maryland, and a hot shop. Now, if Donnie doesn't know how this happened to him, gotta go.